In my React interview, the interviewer asked me to implement this feature. This feature is basically rendering two lists, list 1 and list 2. In list 1, I need to add checkbox so I can check. If I check question 1 and question 2 and click on the swap button, so the question 1 and question 2 will swapped by answer 1 and answer 2. Let me click on this button. So now you can see answer 1 and answer 2 is swapped by question 1 and question 2. Without wasting time, let's code it. So in VS Code, I have already created React boilerplate code. So let's run this project. 10 p.m. run dev. Let's go to localhost 5173. Here now we are not getting anything. Let's go to VS Code. So first we need to render two lists. So for two lists we need to create states. So for list 1 I am creating list 1 and set list 1. We are using use state. So the default value will be array, and in array we have two values. First one will be value and the value will be question 1, and the second key will be is selected. So the default value will be false. To create this tree, and the value will be question 2. Let's write question 2 here. And is selected will be false. And the third object will be value, and value will be question 3, and selected will be false. Okay, now we need to create second list. For second list I am creating list 2 and set list 2. Here we need to pass default value. So the default value will have value, and the value will be answer 1, and the second key will be is selected. By default is selected will be false. Let's write second object. Also have value. The value will be answer. The 2 is selected will be default false. Right, third object, value will be answer 3, and is selected will be false. So now we need to render it on UI. For this, let's create first h3. Here we will write list 1, and let's render list. For this I am creating an UL, and here I will map list 1 dot map, and here I am getting item. Write it as item. Here we need to return li. So in li I will render two things. The first one will be value. Let's render item dot value, and the second one will be checkbox. So for this let's create an input checkbox. Let's remove name and id, and here we need to check it according the is selected value. For this checked will be item dot is selected. So let's save the code, minimize this window. Here we can create this. Okay, now the first list is rendering, so we need to render second list. For this I am creating another h3, and here I am writing list 2. Let's create an UI, and here we need to map list 2. For list 2 dot map, here I can get item. Let's return li, and in li I just need to render one thing, which will be value, item dot value. Here we are getting two lists, list 1 and list 2. So first we need to build this feature to check the checkbox. So for this let's create a function called as handle check. It will be arrow function, and in this function we can take an argument item. The type will be value will be string, and is selected, and is selected type will be boolean. So first let's create a shallow copy temporary array, and this will be shallow copy of list 1. So we just need to swap this value. When I click on this question 3, so the question 3 is selected value will be swapped. Like if it is false, then we need to set it to true, and if it is true, then we need to set it to false. So for this, what we can do is we can just write temp here, and inside this we can get the index of item by index of method. Let's write temp dot index of item. So it will return index of the item, and then we need to swap this value of is selected. For this, is selected will be not of item dot is selected, and after this I just need to set value of list1 to 10, and let's just add this function to checkbox. Let's write on change here, and on change there will be arrow function, and will be handle check, and here we will pass item. Let's pass item here. Now if I click on this checkbox, so it's going checked. Now we need to add button, so let's add button here, and let's write swap here. Now we need to implement this feature. Whenever we click on this button, so items got swapped. For this, let's create a function const handle swap will be arrow function. Create arrow function, and now we need to create shell copy of list1 and list2. Let's create a shell copy of list1. Okay, list1. Let's create shell copy of list2. So now we need to check if items are checked. So we need to swap it with list2. So for this, we can use for each list1 dot for each, and here we will get the item. Okay, so let's write function here. Now here let's add a condition. If item dot is selected is true, then we need to swap it by list2. To swap this, we also need index. Let's write I here. And so now we can take a temporary variable which stores value of item dot value, and then we can set the list1 of I dot value equals list2 of I dot value, like this. And then we need to also swap it to list2. So for list2 of I dot value equals 10, and we also need to unselect this checkbox. So for this, list1 of I dot is selected equals false, and now we need to set this value to list1 and list2. For this, set list1 to list1, and let's set list2 to list2, not list1, list2, and we need to assign this function to button. Let's write here on click handle swap. So now if I check, so it should work. Let's check question 1 and question 2 and click on this. So it is not working properly. So here by mistake I have write 1, so let's replace it by I. Then check, let's refresh this page and check question 1 and question 2, and let's click on this. So it is going swapped by answer 1 and answer 2. So the optimizations we can do in this, we can create a separate component for rendering list instead of rendering to HTML list, and we can render the input box basis on the flag. If you learned something from this video, don't forget to subscribe our channel.